But the muscle memory is a key component. It's really something that you can't just force. I thought that was somebody coming up here. I was like, damn, this is a dead end. But that muscle memory, it's not something that you can force your brain to learn any faster. You have to sleep. You have to get your brain to work out those scenarios on its own. So remember that. If you're struggling, if you're having difficulty, remember, you got to go to sleep. You got to take a break. You got to come back tomorrow, okay? Don't get too frustrated. If you find yourself getting frustrated, take the day off. Take a break. Come back tomorrow. Degrees out today. Finally got a nice day to ride. It's gonna snow again all next week, so gotta get out today. All right, so today we're gonna do another tips and trick tutorial video. Today, I want to talk about muscle memory and awareness on your electric unicycle. You know, it's very important to be able to be aware of your surroundings while you're riding. And a big part of being able to do that is just building up the muscle memory required to not have to pay attention to the ground, pay attention to the road, to have confidence that you're able to ride while looking all around you. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, my name is George, and this thing I'm riding is called an electric unicycle. I make electric unicycle videos and I release them every Monday and Friday, so if you're interested in these wacky devices, subscribe to the channel. So when you first get your electric unicycle, of course, what you're going to want to do is use it to commute or get around town. You're probably going to have to ride in the road, right? Well, there's a baseline of skill competency that you need to have before you take one of these machines out on the road, guys. It's just not safe to just buy this machine, figure out how it works, and start riding in the road. You really need to build up some skills, the absolute minimum of which is being able to look around while you're riding. You know, you wouldn't drive a car without being able to look around at your surroundings, would you? You know, you really need to be able to do that, right? So first, let's just talk about a couple things about riding in the road. Number one, stay in the middle of the road. Don't ride off to the side, okay? Be in charge of where you are. You have to know your surroundings. You gotta be able to look behind you, see a car is coming, and move over and wave them on. You take control. You wanna know where those cars are at all times. You know, don't let that car pass you if you don't know where it is. So if you can't look behind you like that while you're riding comfortably, you really shouldn't be out on the road. So let's talk about how to build that skill. Let's talk about how to build up your muscle memory to a point where you're riding through effortlessly. You can pay attention more to your surroundings than you have to the road, right? Because a lot of times when you're first starting, you're going to be really concentrated on that road in front of you. You're worried about bumps, you're worried about potholes, you're worried about whatever. But you can't be worried about that stuff if you're riding in the road. If you're riding in the street, you need to be able to be paying attention to your surroundings as if you were riding a car. So the first thing you want to practice when you're trying to learn that muscle memory, trying to learn how to ride and be more aware while you're on your unicycle, the first thing you want to do is start looking out into the distance. Don't look down. Don't look at the ground in front of you. Look far ahead. Try to look at least 100 feet out in front of you to see what's coming. Not what you're rolling over right now, what you might roll over in a little while. All right, let's go find a spot so we can do a little practice drill. All right, once you're comfortable being able to look off into the distance while you're riding, that's really going to help you get your mind off of the immediate ground in front of you and into your surroundings more. So once you've gotten comfortable being able to look into the distance, being able to be a little bit more aware of your surroundings, getting your mind off of the immediate street in front of you and into the foreground. Once you can do that, you're on your way to really being able to build that muscle memory needed to ride in the street, to ride in traffic. But there's other ways we can start to really develop that skill. You can do something that's really taxing on your mind while riding. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you juggling while riding. Don't worry, if you can't juggle, I'll show you another alternative in just a second. But being able to do something as silly as juggling while riding will really improve that muscle memory that we're talking about, that awareness, that ability to ride the machine without thinking about the machine, thinking about your surroundings, thinking about what you're doing, not thinking about the ground, thinking about, oh, how do I ride? You really got to be more concentrated on your surroundings. Oh. It still works if you're not good at juggling. You know, when I'm juggling, I really need to concentrate on the juggling. Ah! You know, juggling's something I'm not super proficient at, but it's a really good task. It's something that requires my full attention while I'm riding. I have to be concentrating on those balls. I mean, I'm bad at it when I'm standing still. Never mind with forward momentum. It really adds a complexity to the juggling that I can't think about riding at all. So you're really relying on that muscle memory to keep you going. You know, if you can't juggle at all, I'm sure you got one of these, right? I want you to go onto the App Store and find yourself a puzzle game, a tap action adventure game, something that's going to require your entire mind's effort to play with. And I want you to download it, and I want you to play it while riding. Okay, find an empty parking lot, find a dead-end street somewhere, find some place to play that game while riding, okay? That's going to build tons of skills for you. You're going to be so concentrated on your game, and you're going to have to also pay attention to your surroundings. So you have no time to think about the machine, to think about what your body's doing. Just forget all about it. It's all about your surroundings. It's all about your task in front of you. But so muscle memory, let's talk about muscle memory a little bit, right? How does the muscle memory actually form in your system? So there's been a lot of studies lately on like how our brains work, how they form thoughts, how they learn. And one of the best ways that our brains actually learn is by dreaming, by sleeping. What they've found is that at night, when you go to bed, oftentimes your brain is going to revisit things you did that day. The study that I was reading this about was about rats, and rats going through mazes, and how during the day, you know, they would run through this maze 5 or 10 times, and slowly throughout the day they would get incrementally better, but not really that much better at getting through to the other side. But at night, it was actually studied and figured out that their brains were firing the exact same sequences, the exact same patterns that they were trying to get through that maze during the day with. But they're doing it at 10 times the speed. So your brain is replaying through that maze over and over and over and over. How could it have done better? How could it have improved? How is it going to do it tomorrow? You know, these are subconscious things that you don't even have to think about. It's just the natural way that we learn. So a really important part of building that muscle memory, of building your unicycle skill, is going to sleep. Sometimes these skills are going to take days and even weeks to acquire. But every time you go to sleep, after you practice, you're going to wake up the next day and you're going to be better at that skill. Not only because of your muscle memory, but also because of your muscle strength. I mean, you will be building strength as you practice these things. And that on its own will help you. But the muscle memory is a key component. It's really something that you can't just force. I thought that was somebody coming up here. I was like, damn, this is a dead end. But that muscle memory, it's not something that you can force your brain to learn any faster. You have to sleep. You have to get your brain to work out those scenarios on its own. So remember that. If you're struggling, if you're having difficulty, remember, you got to go to sleep. You got to take a break. You got to come back tomorrow, okay? Don't get too frustrated. If you find yourself getting frustrated, take the day off. Take a break. Come back tomorrow. Okay, and you have to combine that muscle memory ability, the ability to have total awareness of your surroundings while riding. And you have to combine that with the ability to safely mount and dismount. I don't know if you watched last week's episode, but last week's episode was on safely and confidently mounting your electric unicycle. If you haven't watched that, go check that episode out. It's super important, guys, especially if you're riding in the road. It's so important to have these skills mastered before you start trying to get out there with traffic. You can't ride around cars if you can't pay attention to your surroundings, if you can't confidently mount your machine. These are baseline minimum skills you have to have before you start screwing around in the street, guys. It's just not safe. And another thing about riding in the road, guys, I know sometimes you see me without a helmet on. The only time I ride without a helmet is when I'm on my home turf, right? I'm on pavement that I'm very, very familiar for, and the key word is pavement. And not only am I on my home turf, I'm going slow. I'm definitely not going over 10 miles an hour without a helmet on, guys. If you're riding in the street, you gotta ride 15, 20 miles an hour at least. You have to have a helmet on. You got to, guys. It's not safe to ride without gear, not real riding. If you're gonna be riding with traffic, if you're gonna be riding off-road, if you're gonna be pushing the machine fast, you have to gear up. It's so imperative for your safety, guys. I just don't wanna see anybody get hurt. So if you're riding in the road, gear up. All right, so get out there, practice some of these muscle memory building skills. Take a nap. Build up your confidence in all aspects of riding before you get out on the road. That's going to be all for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. We're at 650 some odd subscribers now. We're growing at an incredible pace. That's thanks to you guys. I really appreciate it. My goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers someday. I got no time frame. I just want it to happen. So if you haven't already, hit that like button for me. Leave me a comment down below. And until next time, guys, ride safe.